Okay, thanks for joining me again. We're working on number 25 in the Preparatory Melodies book. And this one says deciso, which is not about cheese. It's about an attitude, decisively, intentionally, authoritatively, right? And how do we communicate that? Well, let me just play through and see if I can give you a usable rendition here. Okay, that's, I got a little distracted in that one, and you can probably hear when it happened. Whenever I'm listening to my students play, I can kind of hear what their mind is doing, how engaged they are. And sometimes this is difficult. Like today, it's later in the afternoon. I'm feeling a little fatigued today, and I'm just having trouble keeping my mind in the game. That's the number one thing. So when you're coaching yourself, when you're practicing and you notice, oh, I just wasn't present. That's like the number one thing. Be there. Otherwise, you're not really seeing what's going on. And I started to drift a little bit. And as a result, you could hear my playing became less deciso, less authoritative, less decisive. Really, really important. So this is a repetitive rhythmic pattern, just kind of playing up and down scales. And sometimes it's difficult to find the music, to see where is the music. And I find, for me anyway, a lot of times I'm just trying to make too much out of it. In other words, the music is not complicated, it's not deep, it's not significant. It's simply light and comfortable and entertaining. And so you kind of have to find that spirit and then not try and make the music be something that isn't. So let's talk about deciso a little bit. So right off the bat, you hear, so, see, I'm giving it some of this. And physically, staying relaxed and in perfect trumpet balance. That's what we're trying for. So one of the very difficult things that almost all of us run into in playing the trumpet, playing music on the trumpet, is the music has that built-in character, and it's got its own energy. And when I'm affected by that energy, I'm hearing it in my mind. So if I were conducting, it would be like, so see how I'm conveying through my body? One, okay, that gives you a pretty good idea of that energy, that physical energy of my gesture, that can start to get into your trumpet playing body, and you don't want it there. And I think this is a big problem for a lot of players, is how do you separate those two things out? And of course there are long answers to that, but in the most fundamental way, you learn how you train the body machine, so to speak, to execute the patterns that you hear as precisely as you want to in a performance. And then you trust the body to do what it knows how to do, and then you can relax. You don't have to try and work harder physically, but you do have to work strongly mentally, and that's what I failed to do on the first time through. I was okay for a while, and then it kind of fell apart. Okay, so articulation, pronunciation, that's a big deal when you're playing this. Now you're going up and down through the range. So you have 2 octaves of range in this piece. That's another thing I almost always do when I'm looking at a piece of music, or a section of a piece of music, or even a phrase. Anytime, where you're playing continuously without a place that you can kind of reset if you get off a little bit. I want to be able to play the entire range of the piece comfortably without having to make awkward adjustments in order to do so. And so that means, just like what I did, so I'm trying to take in that whole range comfortably, smoothly, and in a balanced manner. Then the problem is exacerbated, as I've said in many of these other episodes, and definitely in the last one, when we talked about number 24, is now you have exaggerated dynamic contrast, forte to piano, all the way through the whole piece. And most trumpet players I know have a bad reaction to that just looking at it, especially those who are trying to be very precise and very expressive in terms of, people who are like, whatever, just go ahead and play. And the dynamic contrasts are not that great. You're not going to feel very challenged by it. But when you're trying to play the way you need to do in an orchestra with extreme dynamic range, then it can become quite difficult. And that's why you need to do it. You need to have a chance to kind of chew on that problem for a while and get more comfortable with it. Okay, I think that's enough. I'd play it for you again, but I'm not sure that I'm going to concentrate any better the next time through. So I hope you have better luck with it than I did. If you're an advanced player, and if you're a learning player, please don't be intimidated and realize when I say that I made a mistake, a lot of times it's not necessarily evident except to a trained ear, but it's evident to me, and that's the important thing. When you practice, your successes and your failures need to be evident to you, and you need to be cool with that. It's all the process of learning. That's what you want to keep in mind. Okay, hope you're doing well where you are, and I look forward to seeing you the next time you turn on one of these videos. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later on. Bye-bye.